are live. We are live. Let's do this. Do that. Yeah, let's do this and that. And let's see how. Jesus, the chat's busy. Zombie alert. Is there? Is there a zombie alert? I'd leave them to it. Who's in the house? Who's in the house? Tonight we're going to talk about potentially what I think could be the manager's. Let me just get onto the video. Could be the manager's best 11. And it's going to be a little bit controversial, my best 11, actually, because there's going to be a few players dropped out. And see, when you look at the size of the squad, that we have, it's and the players that we've now got, it's actually quite good. Right? Let me just see what's zombie alert. Hell. Who is on? There's 54 people online. Right, Celtic, you'll never walk alone. Hail, champs are here. Honest Scottish football. That's a new one. Fantastic. Celtic is in. James Gorham's in. Monty's in. Deanne's in. Anton's in. Lanky's in. Perfect. Plenty of people. Perfect. And someone's just bought us a beer with the brand new thing. So thank you for that. So it works. Let me just double check this. And it's It has. Thank you, zeshamcfc.com. Perfect. That works. That's nice to know. Why didn't I get another notification? Let me just do this. And then we're all done. Yeah, it does. It just came through. Perfect. Brilliant. It's great when something works, isn't it? Right. Hail, Baz from North Wales. Stephen Docherty is in the house. Hail, boys and girls. Paul Baird's in the house. Perfect. And Derry is in the house. The free Derry. Right. Lanky, do you think when we've got a fully fit squad, Brendan will play 3 at the back? Lanky, you read my mind all the time. I'm going to go through the squad first. Right, so obviously the goalkeepers, we've got Scott Bain, Joe Hart, and Benji Siegrist. Right, that's the goalkeeper. So we're going to talk about the full size of the squad first. In defence, when you look at when we've got a fully fit defence, right, we've nothing to worry about. We've got Bernaby, we've got Carter Vickers, we've got Alistair Johnson, we've got Kobayashi, we've got Gustav Lagerbelke, we've got Big Rocky, we've got Nat Phillips, we've got Ralston, we've got Liam Scales, we've got Greg Taylor, and Stephen Welsh. That's just our defenders, right? When you then look at the middle of the park, right, going right across the middle of the park, you've got Leila Bada. That's not right, because it's got Bernaby in the middle of the park. You've got Paolo Bernardo, you've got James Forrest, Rio Hatate, Bid Odin the Warrior, Tomoki Awata, Mikey Johnston, Kiwon, Kyogo, Dyson, James McCarthy, who's still at the club robbing a wage, Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly, Lewis Palmer, Marco Tillo, David Turnbull, and Yang across the middle of the park. And then when you look up front, gets a little interesting, because you've only really got Kyogo and you've got O up the front, but then you've also got James Forrest and everybody that can play. So the size of the squad is unreal. And I'm gonna see if I can screenshot this. Now I'm just going to give you the team. And it looks like Hogwarts Express isn't coming to Glasgow. They're all defenders. Are all the defenders good enough to play in the Champions League? James McCarthy wouldn't get exactly. Every one of them would walk into a Hunt team. Exactly. We've got $1 million in defence. Evening Boss says, Martin, how's everyone doing? Get Bain in the bin. Scott Bain will be at Celtic for the next 3 years because he adds to. And another interesting thing that Celtic haven't released or made public anyway, their squad for the Champions League. They haven't made it public. It should have been submitted to UEFA by now, and it would have been, but it's not been made public for whatever reason. And Lanky said, when everyone's fit, do you think that Brendan will go to a back three? I think if we get 80%, Gary says, I think if we get 80% fit, we'll go undefeated the rest of the season. Yep. Right. My goalkeeper is always going to be Joe Hart. Joe Hart, there's nobody else in the squad that's going to take Joe Hart out of the team. He is your goalkeeper. I'm then going to be controversial with the back four. And I'm going to go, now in no particular order, I'm going to go Rocky, Carter Vickers, Phillips, and then Johnson, Alistair Johnson. Now, the reason I'm going for those four is, you can go to a back three. And what it does is you can have Rocky, Carter, Vicker, and Phillips in the back three, and it pushes Johnson just up front. Now, last year, Johnson was used to playing in that inverted role, right? So you can then push him up front. I'm going to go for a 4-2-3-1 formation. And I think it's a type of formation that will suit us, and it can be more defensive in Europe. I'm not talking about the league. I mean, I think the league, the team will take care of itself, and I think that picking your strongest team for Europe, and this is what I'm thinking. When everyone's fit, Campusol, you're in Campusol. There you go. I was done there last year. So this is my back four, right? So I'm going with Rocky, Carter, Vickers, Phillips, and Johnson. The reason being is that you can go for a back three, and you can push Johnson up. Then sitting in front of them, you're going to have Hatate and McGregor. So, if need be, McGregor tends to drop back a bit and he's a bit more defensive-minded. So that can go to a back five rather than a back four. And it leaves Hatate pushing up in midfield. Right? So it gives us plenty of cover. It means we can go to a back five if we get really defensive. But hopefully we don't get too defensive and we can actually push Alistair Johnston up beside McGregor and Hatate in the midfield. Just in front of those two, I'm going to go with Yang, Bernardo, and Palma. How do you think of that for your front three? Although we've not seen Bernardo play yet, if he's everything that the Portuguese say that he is, I think having Palma, Bernardo, and Yang will be unstoppable. And then Keo go up front. Now, what that does is it allows Hatate to move up in between either Yang and Bernardo or, Palma, but also allows Alistair Johnson to get further up the wing also, right? And with the pace of Yang, I'm taking that Hatate will sit in just behind Yang. I think that's probably the strongest team that Celtic could really go for. What do you think of that? I should have wrote all these down. Let me see if I can just do this quickly. And confirm the team. Do that. Save. And then I'll see if I can get that on the screen at the same time. So I think that's the strongest team that Brendan Rodgers could have at Celtic, potentially if everyone's fit at the exact same time. If everyone's fit, it means the likes of Matt O'Reilly will struggle. I honestly think the likes of, if you've got Hatate, McGregor, Yang, Bernardo, and Palma in that midfield, where does that leave the likes of O'Reilly? It's difficult. It's a really difficult, and it just shows you the strength of the team. The strength of the team that we've got once everyone's fully fit. Let's get to some of the comments. I agree, sounds like a team of players who could do something in the Champions League. That's what I'm thinking behind it. It's like we really need to do something where we have to be really defensive-minded. We can't go all out again like we did last year, and we can't go playing attacking football. I'm totally old school 5-3-2 with the wing-backs pushing up. Works in FIFA. It does that, David. But no, the reason I'm thinking that is, the formation I've picked is 4-2-3-1. And it's a formation that the manager's used to playing with. And it can be quite defensive if it needs to be. it depends how good Yang is at defending and Palmer. That's what it really does. Because I mean, you can basically go to it can go to a 4-5-1 formation, really, and really bog down the midfield. And people were talking about that a couple of weeks ago. It's like if we bog down the midfield in the Champions League, and if you look at it, right, if you've got the five in midfield, if you've got Yang, Hatate, Bernardo, McGregor, and Palmer all dropping back a bit to sit in front of your back four, that's a solid midfield, and it's got pace. I mean, Yang's got pace. You've got Kyogo then playing off the back of the defenders. You've got Yang pushing up, and the pace of him. The Palmer's meant to have some decent pace about him, and then Bernardo. If they're pushing forward, you can hit teams on the break, and I think that's what we need to do. I mean, let's think about it as well as Feyenoord at home are absolutely amazing. Let's get some of the comments in. What about Maida? His work rate is invaluable. Yes, it is. It is, but he's not fully fit just now. And it's, who does he? Is Yang going to be better than him? Maida couldn't make the Japanese team yesterday. Maida and Kyogo did not make the Japanese team. So what do they know? I mean, what do they know about the rest of the Japanese team that we don't? I'm still trying to work out what is best formation, says Lanky. We've got a lot of different players that played. Yes, exactly. He's went with Hart, Lager, Kami, Phillips, Yang, Kalmak, Ohm, Palmer, O'Reilly, Maida, and Kyogo. Yeah, it's the formation that we can change a bit. As Beale's barely bounced out of Ibrox yet. No idea. Japan could have won 8-1, says San Fran. Celtic, that's brilliant. Germany's taking a bit of a dive in it. Always seems to be the case that when countries get automatic qualification things, but the Germany have been like that for a few years now. Did anyone see the Daily headline about Rangers getting a penalty in last night's Master? They did not. Oh my goodness, really? What about Maida? Yeah, Mr. Living Cap. What's that? What's Lorna saying? Let me jump back to some of the comments. Own position that needs strength as goalkeeper. We have a million wingers, and we'd like to see Welsh move into defence and mid for his passing. The fact that Welsh is out now for 2 or 3 months he's out for? You're not going to see him before Christmas. You're not going to see Welsh before Christmas, and then it's going to be a case he's then coming into a team that's on a bit of a roll, and it's going to be hard for Welsh to break in. It's going to be hard for him. I think his best bet is after, hopefully we get a good run in the Scottish Cup, and we can change things a bit in the Scottish Cup and let players come into the team. That's the only thing. That's the only way I can see it. Lorna, hi everyone, sorry I'm late. Been busy cleaning. Have I missed anything important? No, nothing important at all. There's not much Celtic chat going on this weekend because let's say this as we haven't seen half of them play. Exactly, we haven't seen half of them play, and some of these players could be absolutely amazing. When you think back, when people were a bit nervous about the fact that we were bringing these players in from Japan, now we brought in what we thought was one of the best players in Japan, and Hatate and Kyogo, two players that are absolutely fantastic for us, and they got nowhere near that starting team yesterday. They didn't even get off the bench. Even get off the bench. So what does that tell us about the rest of the Japan team? They're obviously fantastic. Is Hatate ready for next week? I think he should be. Celtic are obviously back in training tomorrow morning after a little break. So Tilo, has he even been in training yet? Marco's the missing man. I'm going to call him Marco the missing man. Nobody even knows how good Marco's going to be. Lorna, if I had a wife cleaning at the moment, I'd have been accused of sexism. Jeez. Right, let's see if there's any Celtic news. What about Big Chris Sutton? He had a bit of dig at Boydie. He says, closer than I thought from Boydie, said Big Chris Sutton on Twitter, and that goes down to that miss that Boyd did in the Legends game. And let me just see Celtic. Scott Brown. Lee Johnson appointed as Hibs manager. No, Jesus. Hibs managers replaced Scott Brown at that's just at Fleetwood Town. That's a bit mad one, isn't it? Is that not a bit of a step down for him? Is that not a bit of a step down for the Hibs manager? I know it's not Celtic talk, but Jesus, that's just a bit of news I've just seen. Palmer, Bernardo, Tillo still make their debuts. Yep. Lanky, last Aussie went missing was Mark Viduka. He did that. At last, caught one live. Here we go. See, Celtic squad. We have 16 places, 11 starters, and 5 on the bench. So room for all. Yeah, there is, and I think it's all about squad rotation. I think if Brendan uses the squad rotation a bit more than what the last manager does, we should be fine. When we look at that squad again, I mean, let's go back to. I mean, the goalkeepers: Scott Bain, Joe Hart, Benji Siegrist. No one's taken the number one gloves off of Joe Hart. When you look at the defenders, we've got Bernaby. I mean, at the back, it's unbelievable. Bernaby, Carter Vickers, Alistair Johnson, Kobayashi, Gustav, Rocky, Nat Phillips, Tony Ralston, Liam Scales, Greg Taylor, and Stephen Welsh. Stephen Welsh is the only one that's kind of long-term injury. The other two will be back by the end of September. So the time that you come into the next international break in October, you're going to have some amount of players that are back 100% fit. When you then look at the midfield, you've got Abada, Bernardo, James Forrest, Awata, Mikey Johnson, Kwon Dyson, James McCarthy, Matt O'Reilly, Marco and David Turnbull, and Yang. I mean, that itself, I mean, there's going to be some players. There's going to be some players disappointed when they're left out of the Champions League squad. I tell you that's for one thing. Hail Barry Boy and the troops. Can a picture of Lee Johnson swanning about we're in Blackpool giving it David Beckham shoot. That's a strange one. That is a strange one. Palmer as well. I just that's a big shock. Our B team cost more than the whole Rangers team put together. Yeah, that's probably a good shout. Actually, that's probably a good shout. Lee Johnson's useless. Yeah, well, he was kind of proving that. Do you think that Scott will get offered that would be interesting if Scott did get offered the Hibs job? Would they put faith in another manager like that after doing with Sean Maloney? Nah. Good morning from Korea. Go on yourself. Big up Korea. We went to a Korean barbecue here. Restaurant. It was absolutely fantastic. I've never had anything like that before, and the food was amazing, absolutely amazing. You think a lot of the players are going to need to get used to feeling left out? Yeah, I think the players are going to used to get, especially the Champions League. I think the Champions League, the squad, you've got to put bad mood for Scott Brown going to Hibs. Yeah, I thought that as well. I think the Champions League squad, once that should have been announced, and Celtic have been keeping it under wraps. I think they've kept it under wraps because it would give away how soon some of our players are going to be back. And I think that's one thing that Celtic have been good at the last couple of seasons is not telling us exactly when players are going to be back fit. Korean barbecue is amazing. Yeah, is that? I mean, it's a restaurant that just opened here, and a Korean barbecue. Hello from China. China is in as well. I'm loving this on Sunday. China and Korea. Don't think Scott would take the Hibs job at the time. No, I don't think so either, Paul. Yeah, the food is generally incredible. It is that. The food was amazing. I think that it was weird because with the Korean barbecue restaurant, you've got to cook your own meat. And it's something, I mean, you pay a good bit of money to go to these restaurants, and then you've got to cook it yourself. And it's ingenious. It's actually ingenious. But we had a fantastic time. Bruno could be a trainer at Celtic. No, I don't think he will. But you never know. North Korean barbecue. Right, let's see if there's any other Celtic news kicking about. Obviously, that's a big one. They acted fast in getting Lee Johnson in. He's just been sacked for Hibs. That's a really interesting one. International blow as undroppable Celtic pulls up for country. That's are they just running that? See some of the football channels that come out with stories later than everyone else. Later than everyone else. Dembele's been talking about. I noticed I've been talking about the fact that it's 7 years since the demolition derby by Dembele. 7 years. God, a lot's happened in 7 years. A lot happened in 7 years. And Cool Daddy says we definitely need a Bonnet statue. I think we need to go further than that. I think we need to call the main stand either after him, and I would also say that the North Stand should be called after Tommy Burns. I think it's terrible that we don't have something that commemorates Tommy Burns and for everything that he did the entire life at Celtic, as a player, as a person, and as an absolutely fantastic coach. And the football that he had, the football that Tommy Burns had Celtic playing back in the mid-90s was better than Ange Postecoglou's. I'm going to put my reputation on the line and say that Tommy Burns' football was better than Ange ball. Way better than Ange ball. Way better than Ange ball. It's a lot more, but we never won this. I mean, Tommy Burns went a whole season without getting me. I was watching the demolition derby 7 years ago today in Paddy's. I was at the game. 7 years ago today. I was at the game. Yep. A lot happened in 7 years. Yeah, it's very sad that the Celtic girl team went out on penalties for the Champions League. Get hitting the thumbs up, says Henry Kevin. Let me just double check the thumbs up. Just see, there's only 15 thumbs up and 100. No, there's 55. Just refreshed. 55 thumbs up and 186 watching. 186 watching. What was that, Lanky? Message retracted. Just catching up with some of the messages here. Right. Put up your... Right, I've mentioned Lennox Town, an option to honour Tommy Burns. Maybe the new academy, the new £20 million training facility could do. I would think that if you make that training facility just down the road, because let's face it, Tommy Burns trained there, and that would have a bit more significance if it was the Tommy Burns Academy. I think that would be nice. The Tommy Burns Training Centre, don't know, something like that. Because let's face it, look at the greats that have trained for Celtic on that pitch. You all remember the time that when Kenny Dalglish taking the press conference in the Gallagher. That was a laugh. Lorna said it makes sense. I was at the game, loved that one. Yeah, something today was brilliant. It was absolutely. That was brilliant time to go to the game. Brilliant. Big Sutton, he's been trolling Boydie saying I thought that was close enough. I've done that one. Let's see if there's any more Celtic news. International Football Weekend is an absolute bore. And because Celtic haven't been training this week also, and they've given the players some time off, it really leaves news a bit quiet. Gary Hooper on the goals last night, huh? Celtic 5, Rangers 1. Who would have thought all those years ago? And the guy that was the manager is still the manager. Who would have thought that? Dembele was a player. Dembele was a fantastic. You've got to remember when Dembele came to Celtic. I mean, we're going on about the youthfulness of this team. When Dembele came to Celtic, he was only 19. Phone and tablet and telly, three thumbs up here. Can you even do that? Lanky, that's me subbed. Couldn't find your channel, mate. This breaking thing is pish. At the end of this breaking thing is pish. It should be at the end of the season. This breaking thing is pish at the end. No idea. The new academy is for females and the coach to train at. Is it just for the females and the coach? That's an awful expense for some expense. Surely the first team will be training there sometimes, or maybe even use it for away teams in Europe to train at. rather than having to go to Ibrox. Because let's face it, the Tom Burns Academy has a good ring to it. It does that, doesn't it? The success that we are enjoying now is due to Fergus. Fergus laid the foundations, and he obviously cut the first bit of turf, as they say, to for the stand and everything. The business model has changed slightly since Fergus was in charge. I don't think Fergus would allowed the mass spending that we do now. But then again, it's a totally different time. So totally, yeah, Fergus restructured the whole business. He restructured the way that Celtic's run, and it's evolved. It's evolved over the years. I mean, we all give the board stick, and rightly so at times, rightly so. But I mean, the board does do fun. The board needs to get its finger out and get this hotel built, where the current ticket office is. They need to get that facility built. That's been the planning permission for that was years ago. I think that would bring in a lot more money to Celtic rather than spending 20 million, because it's not going to cost 20 million to build a hotel, surely. Not a chance. Not on that bit of land. It'll cost nowhere near that. But the money that brings in, the money that I know how many buses come over from Ireland on a weekly basis at home games and even away games. Yeah, the ticket office is a joke. I mean, it's still just old porter cabins all joined together. When you look at the away fans that come from down south and that come over from Ireland, oh look who it is! Shut your hole! Shut your hole! Shut your hole! Lanky's deleted you, and you've started a new channel. Lanky deleted the mess. I'm going to unhide it, and then I'm going to hide you on this channel, so you can't comment again. But then again, I think that the Pope is dead is the my name guy. I think it must be him, because there's only so many people that keep on making new channels to come and comment. Eh? Okay, that's about a cycle. I know. Did you enjoy the game last Sunday? You weren't commenting on the channel last Sunday. That's a shame, that isn't it? It's a shame. And I heard your manager's like getting chased with pitchforks. Pitchforks. Right, we're getting back to the hotel. That's what we're talking about. The hotel. That hotel would be filled every single home game just from people from Ireland. Just for people from Ireland. I know DJ Singer's in the house. We need some zombies in it to take the piss out of him. Oh dear. Yeah, Lord, bet it is him. Bet it is him. Enjoyed the Masters last night. No, I didn't watch it. I was busy. Get rid of the vermin. He's out. He's out. And he's out. The Huns are raging. Yes. Right. Let's talk. Tell me in the comments what you think that Celtic should build first. Should they build the hotel facility to bring in no Huns in our hotel? No, there wouldn't be any Huns in the hotel. The hotel is going to be right on the grounds of Celtic Park. I don't think you're going to get anybody that would want to stay right there. But should Celtic build the hotel facility and the new ticket office before they spend 20 million on a training facility? Because the hotel will bring in more money for Celtic in the long run. And I think it should be. It's been in the pipeline. The planning permission was given ages ago. Slaven, we do not need any more commercialism. We need to invest in building the squad, right? Well, that 20 million that's going for the academy for the women isn't directly investing in the first team squad. So, Barry, you know my name. Go from Ireland. Back, I know many that go from part of family and friends. Yep. No need for a hotel for us. I know places that do overnighters from Belfast, and they usually have at least one bus that do overnighters. So upgrade the old stand first. I think the complexity of they would have to build a framework over the top. It's not impossible to do, but the way that the Celtic Stadium is built with the steel frame, it's you would have to build over the top of it and then build up. If you understand what I mean, it's not like in Spain that it's it's all concrete all around. So Um, but the steel work at Celtic Park needs painted anyway. So underground, a secret laboratory working on super players is needed. Yep, the hotel would be full. I think it would be. I think it would be. The board should upgrade Paradise to 80,000. The only thing about that is, Lanky, right, is you can see sometimes in some games they need to get a ticket scheme in place so that when people can't make games, it's easier to exchange tickets because it's in the terms and conditions of your season ticket that you're not allowed to give it to someone else. You're not allowed to use someone else's ticket. You know, there's been many times when I was in 111 that it got to the stage where they were asking for photographic ID to prove that you are the person whose name is on the season ticket. Now that's it's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous, and that's down to Police Scotland and the whole. We could open up a whole conversation about that, but Celtic need to put in something where it makes it easier for people to exchange tickets. Domestic games, you're not going. There's going to be games. I'm going to say a Wednesday night in December. You're not going to fill the stadium. Um, Say you've got a game the 15th of December. January and February when it's rubbish weather months, when it's freezing cold in January, you're not going to fill the stadium. I mean, it's bad enough when we are in the Europa, apart from the last couple of seasons. I mean, you could think back over the last few years in the Europa where we didn't fill the ground. If we drop down, if we're not getting Champions League every year and we drop down, you've got a big chunky stadium that's already kids for a fiver would keep it full, Baz. But that doesn't bring in the money that the club needs. It's okay giving kids tickets for a fiver, but as a business model, the waiting list fluctuates between 10,000 and 15,000 every season. I believe that when I see it. We talk upgrade of 80,000. I just I can't see us filling it week in, week out. And another thing, people leaving early. This was my biggest bugbear when I went to games. Is when people would leave early to beat the traffic. Now it's only going to get worse if you've got 80,000. If you've got another 20,000 people in the stadium, that's 20,000 more people. When people start leaving early, people don't even get me started because I'll rant. Season tickets, empty seats covered. If the figures are as good as the revenue stream from the hotel, my money would be invested in the squad. Yeah, exactly. You can take the money from the hotel, and our club has lost its way. Charity is important. It's not lost its way. The amount of money that the Celtic Foundation raises for charity on a yearly basis is unbelievable. Slavin, it's unbelievable. I mean, I know one of the guys that's involved in the Celtic Foundation. And it's unbelievable the work they do. They do work every month. So as a charity thing, it's not lost its charitable roots. And when you see the food bag donations at games, the Green Brigade one, when you see the Green Brigade filling 10 transit-sized vans full of food bags to give to food banks all around the country. It's not lost. It's not lost at all. And the Green Brigade have been doing it for years, and there's other collections on a weekly basis at Celtic Park. So I think you're far off the point there where charity is important. It's not lost its way. Charity to Celtic fans means more than anything, especially the last couple of years. I mean, the Green Brigade have felt an unbelievable, and I'm talking about food banks all over the country. I can remember when they got £500 donation to the Kirkcaldy Food Bank, to the Aberdeen Food Bank, Dundee, and it was food banks all around the country, and there was obviously a connection with Celtic supporters buses in the towns that they gave them to, but the money that Celtic fans raise for charity is unbelievable. And you've got to remember that the Green Brigade, Celtic once got fined €30,000 for pyro at Celtic Park, and the Green Brigade, right, we'll match that and we'll give it to charity. The Green Brigade the GoFundMe page raised over £120,000, £120,000, and all that was given to charity. So yeah, I think it's one thing that oh, there we go, best specky guy on telly. It's that done. I actually don't wear the glasses during the day. They're a disguise. Yeah, that was for the Palestine flags. Yes, it was. It was that. It was for the Palestine flags, and Celtic did match the money. They matched it in even more, and that was a fantastic time. Celtic were formed as a charitable club. They were, and they still are. Um, free Palestine. Exactly. Right. 7 years ago today, we'll get back to Dumbelly. Musa Dumbelly, who was only 19-year-old when he came to Celtic. When you look at the age of the team just now, it is such a young team, which, you know, is unbelievable when you look at this squad. Unbelievable. When you look going forward, once we get everyone fit, we'll go back to a minute. We'll go back because there's a lot of people online. What we did is at the beginning of the video, I picked my starting 11 for Europe if everyone's fit. And I know that Carter Vickers is out for a few weeks, but come October, this is my favourite starting 11 because of pure defensive duties and pace in the team. So I went for Joe, Rocky, Carter Vickers, Phillips, and Alistair Johnston. Now, the reason I've got Rocky, Carter Vickers, and Phillips is they can go to a back three, which allows Alistair Johnston to push up just in front of them or to run right down the wing. But as he played an inverted fullback last year, it allows him just to step in the midfield beside Callum McGregor, who I'm playing a 4-2-3-1. The two that's sitting in front of those four is McGregor and Hatate. And then the three sitting in front of them is Yang, Bernardo, and Palma. And I'm going for those three due to creativity and pace. And then obviously Kyogo up front. Now, the reason that I picked that team is obviously Yang, Bernardo, and Palma have got a bit of pace. They can drop back beside Hatate and McGregor and go to a back five. So you can play a 4-5-1 formation in Europe when it needs to be, when we're under the cosh a bit in Europe, which we will be this season. Right, so it has to be that bit more defensive, but it also needs to have that bit of pace. And I think Yang and Palma are the ones that are going to have the more pace in this team. Bernardo, if he's half as good as Jota, he's going to be absolutely fantastic, and he's going to sit right behind Kyogo, if you ask me. What do you think about that team? Tell me in the comments. Yang has fast feet. He does that. The press hate the Green Brigade because they're anti-Poppy thing. The press don't hate the Green Brigade because of that. They hate them because they're the Green Brigade and have nothing but respect for everything that the Green Brigade has done over the years. And there's a lot of good guys in the Green Brigade. But anyway, we move on. We're not here to talk about the Green Brigade. G'day, Baz, and hail from down under. So that's down under. We also had someone from, where was it? Korea and somewhere else. Where was the other one? I need to go back to the comments. I should have starred the comments. I don't think Brendan Rodgers will leave Maida out the team. Don't you think so, James? It's an interesting one. Marco and the Wizard of Oz are going to be Marco the Wizard of Oz. It's going to be massive. I hope he is. I really hope he is. Can't argue with that. Definitely sounds like a solid lineup. It is. I mean, I studied this earlier, but as you're playing 4-4-2, no. With that team, I'll be playing 4-2-3-1 formation. It's a formation that the managers played before. And the reason that I went with that is you've got obviously the four at the back. You've got Rocky, Carter Vickers, Phillips, and Johnston. Right? That's a solid back four for me. It's a solid back four. There's nobody else that's come into the team just now that will probably make the back four. I mean, you've got Carter Vickers and Phillips, who are the kind of elder statesmen, but they've got that a little bit of experience. I mean, although Phillips hasn't had a lot of experience for Liverpool, he's played at a way higher level than what he's playing week in, week out here. So that's my back four. And the reason that is you can also go to a back three if we're pushing up. And then you've got Hatate and McGregor sitting in the middle, just in front of those two, with Yang, Bernardo, and Palma. I'm going for pure pace. Going for pure pace and that little bit. I think Bernardo's going to have that little bit of creativity that we've been looking for and asking for in the middle of the park. Which means the likes of the bench is going to be it's going to be an amazing bench. If we play Kyogo up front, You know, you've got the chance to bring Yang on. You've also what it also does is people are talking about Dyson. It also gives you the opportunity to play Dyson as a striker, right? It sounds, I mean, it gives you that opportunity. If Dyson's favoured position is actually centre forward, do you know, it gives you. If you go with John, if you go with Kyogo and Dyson up front, who do you leave out that team? You have to then change the formation on that. And I think the days of playing a 4-4-2 type formation are kind of over and done with. Right, what are you doing? I'm talking to you, Jenny. Good. Crazy dog. Right, let's get back to some of the comments. I'd like to see us go two up top. Um, Almost like Ibrox. Matt O'Reilly. But Matt wasn't, no, that wasn't two up front. If you look at Matt O'Reilly's position, Matt O'Reilly was still positioned in the midfield. Matt O'Reilly wasn't up front. So that was your mid. I mean, Matt O'Reilly's header from midfield. Got to remember the defender. He was almost. It was in between. He was almost on the curve of the centre circle when he headed it. He was just over the line for the centre circle when he headed it to Kyogo. I said 3-5-2. John, yeah, 3-5-2. You could go with that. You could go, but then who do you leave out in that? Because you're either going to leave out Yang or Palma. Do you leave then Bernardo? You've never seen Bernardo play. You know, Paolo could be if Paolo's half as good. That's what they say. I think Dyson's going to have a total run for his money. With some of the, I mean, Yang as well and Palmer. It's going to be an interesting time. The second half of the season, Celtic could be playing some fantastic football. Some fantastic football. Owen Kyogo play left winger. Bernardo's a starter. Yeah, I think that also. I think he's also a starter. We've been on for 42 minutes. How did that happen? Always good to be. Time flies when you're having fun. Your front benching leaves us to expose quality in our group. Do you think so? Do you think it not goes right with that formation? Right, you can go. You can basically go 4-5-1. So you can stop the midfield. Right, you've got Rocky, Carter, Vickers, Phillips, and Johnson at the back. You've then got a midfield: Yang, Hatate, Bernardo, McGregor, and Palma. Right, and then Kyogo up front himself. You can either play the two sitting in front of the defence and then three up front. No, they'll play more. But remember, the wingers will go straight out. The wingers are going to go straight out. So it's allowing Hatate and McGregor. It's more like a five in a diamond shape or a hexagon shape, and then Kyogo up front, if you ask me. So it's not really leaving you too exposed. It could be more defensive and hitting on the break. And if when you look at the way that we played against the Sevco the second half, I definitely think that's it gives us a little hint to how we might play in the Champions League this season. I think be prepared to be a bit more defensive and hit on the break, and be prepared to watch Celtic sitting in a bit. Uh, Lanky says, my opinion, if you want to play Tyson and Kyogo together, Alistair Johnston would need to play as right centre back and go the likes of Hart. Let me just see that go. Hart, Alistair Johnson, CCV, Rocky, Yang, Cal McGregor, Rio Tati, Bernardo, Palmer, Dyson, Kyogo, 3-5-2. I don't think we're going to go 3-5-2 in Europe. We're never going to. We're now that leaves us too exposed in Europe, if you ask me, because when you look at the pace of some of the teams in Europe, and we're not quick enough from the midfield getting back to help out sometimes, and that's the reason that I'd go with the four at the back. There's more chance of going 4-5-1 than anything. But it's all talk. It's all talk. That's just it's only my personal um, thoughts on it. And that's all this channel's about. It's all about having our own personal thoughts. We'll be blessed in some areas of the park and cursed in others. The left back position. The left back position is what it is. So, people are crying out for a left back. Who's my left back? In that team, I would have had Rocky and then Johnson on the other side. Alistair Johnson on the other side and Rocky. I think he can play on that side, sure. It allows us to go to the back three. It's a formation that allows us to change. Anyway, remember the Christmas tree. Yep. There's some different said like a 3-2 formation. This drives you to drink instead of just Fanta. Right, this is at the 45-minute mark. Scales, but Dom said Scales could go there. Yeah, it could. But it's the size of the squad that we've got. I mean, I'll quickly run through the squad that we've got again before we finish the video up. Scott Bain, Joe Hart, Benji Siegrist. Right, and then you've got Bernabe, Carter Vickers, Alistair Johnson, Kobayashi, Gustav Rocky, Phillips, Tony Ralston, Liam Scales, Greg Taylor, Stephen Welsh. Right, so you've got an unbelievable amount of players. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players that can play 4 positions. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. And in the middle of the park, we've got Abada, Bernabe, Bernardo, James Forrest, Awata, Michael Johnson, John Dyson, James McCarthy, Callum Gregor, Matt O'Reilly, Palmer, Marco Tillo, Yang, and David Turnbull. And then it gives you O and Kyogo up front. I mean, the squad, when you look at it now, it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, Marco Tillo. It's fantastic to have so many options. Scales played left back in Ireland against France. That's good to know. That's good to know. Massive squad, especially when everyone's back fit. Yep, the banter years are back in full force. Onwards and upwards for the rest of the season, says Matt Rooney. When is Tillo fit? Nobody knows. He was meant to be fit this month. Hopefully, we'll get some indication when Celtic start back training this week. The players that aren't in international duty will start back training. I don't think Celtic social media will put anything out until Thursday, Friday this week of the players on the training list. They'll give too much away about who's actually fit. And Kaiser says the banter years never stopped. They have not. They have not that. So on that note, it's been fantastic live. I'm only 47 minutes tonight. I've got to do some cooking. Who says that man can't cook? So on that note, have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit.